My therapist started a relationship with my ex after our sessions ended, so I took her life and then began seeing her husband. Can you imagine being so utterly shattered that you pay someone to put you back together, only to discover they were the ones who truly broke you? I'm Harper, a 28-year-old graphic designer who loves wine and true crime podcasts, and I never thought I'd become the main character in a revenge story that would make those podcast hosts lose their minds. But here we are, and trust me, it's a doozy. Let me take you back about 3 months. I was sitting in Dr. Olivia Hartley's office for what would be my very last therapy session. Not because I was suddenly healed or anything, but because I was about to stumble onto something that would rip my entire world open and then rebuild it in the most astonishing way. I'd been seeing Olivia for 6 long months. I started going after my boyfriend of 3 years, Jackson, dumped me out of nowhere. One day we were planning a dream trip to Costa Rica, mapping out rainforest hikes and snorkeling spots. The next, he was standing in my living room, saying he needed space to find himself. Classic, right? My therapist, Olivia, was good. Really good. She had this incredibly calming presence, always impeccably dressed in these elegant blazers, her dark hair pulled into a perfect, sophisticated bun. She spoke in a soothing, almost hypnotic voice that made you want to spill every single secret, every vulnerable thought, and that's exactly what I did. I told her everything about Jackson. How we'd met at a coffee shop when he accidentally grabbed my oat milk latte instead of his, how he used to leave little handwritten notes in my jacket pockets just to make me smile. I confessed how utterly destroyed I was by the breakup, how I never saw it coming, how it felt like the rug had been pulled out from under my entire life. She'd nod, taking meticulous notes, asking thoughtful, probing questions. "Harper," she'd say, her voice soft but firm, "have you considered that Jackson might have been dealing with his own issues? Sometimes when people run, they're running from themselves, not from us." And I, foolish, heartbroken me, ate it up. I paid her $200 a session to hear that wisdom, to believe that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't the problem. That Tuesday in October, I left her office at precisely 4 p.m., just like always. But halfway to my car in the parking garage, I realized I'd forgotten my phone. I do that sometimes when I'm emotionally drained, my mind miles away. I sighed, turned around, and trekked back up to the 3rd floor of the medical building where her office was. The waiting room was empty. Her receptionist must have already left for the day. The door to her office was slightly ajar. I was just about to knock, my hand raised, when I heard it. His laugh. Jackson's laugh. You know how you can recognize someone's laugh even in the middle of a chaotic, crowded room? That's what hit me. My hand froze midair. "You're terrible," I heard Olivia say, but she wasn't scolding him. She was giggling. Actually, audibly giggling. Then Jackson's voice, closer now, a low murmur. "Come here." My heart slammed against my ribs. I pushed the office door open a crack, just enough to see inside. And there they were. On the very couch where I had cried, where I had poured out my heartbreak over losing Jackson, they were kissing. Jackson had his hands tangled in her dark hair, which was now unbound, spilling over her shoulders. Her elegant blazer was discarded on the floor. They were kissing like teenagers, completely lost in each other. I stood there, frozen, for what felt like an eternity, but was probably only 5 terrifying seconds. Then Olivia opened her eyes. And our gazes locked. Direct. Unflinching. I watched, mesmerized, as the realization dawned on her face, saw the exact moment the horror set in. "Harper," she started, her voice a strangled whisper. I didn't wait. I didn't say a word. I just grabbed my phone from the chair near the door, spun on my heel, and walked out. My hands were shaking so violently I could barely hold my car keys. I stumbled into my car, slumped back in the seat, and just stared, unseeing, at the steering wheel. My therapist. My actual therapist. The woman I had paid to help me heal from Jackson had been sleeping with Jackson. 1,000 questions screamed through my mind. How long? When did it start? Was this why he broke up with me? The questions came like relentless, crashing waves, threatening to drown me. My phone buzzed. Olivia. Calling. I declined it. She called again. Declined. Then a text flashed across the screen. "Harper, please let me explain. This isn't what it looks like." I laughed. Then, a harsh, choked sound, actually laughed out loud in my car like a lunatic, because what else was it supposed to look like? Another text. This time from Jackson. "Harper, I'm sorry you found out this way. Found out this way. Not, I'm sorry I did it. Just sorry I found out." The arrogance was suffocating. I drove home in a blur, my mind a chaotic mess. My roommate, Mason, took one look at my face the moment I walked in and, without a single question, just poured me a generous glass of wine. My therapist, I choked out, is sleeping with Jackson. Mason's jaw dropped so hard I thought it might hit the floor. Your therapist? Olivia? The one you've been seeing? Yes, I said, my voice barely a whisper. That's not legal. Is that legal? That can't be legal. I pulled out my phone, my fingers still trembling, and started searching. And Mason was right. It's super not legal. The American Psychological Association has strict ethics codes. Therapists absolutely cannot have relationships with current clients, or their immediate family members, partners, or even exes. Olivia wasn't just betraying me personally, she was violating every professional ethic imaginable. You have to report her, Mason insisted, his eyes wide with disbelief and anger on my behalf. I shook my head, my mind still reeling. I need to think. But I wasn't thinking about reporting her to some board. I was thinking about something else entirely. See, I remembered something Olivia had mentioned once, almost in passing. She was married. I'd seen her wedding ring, a simple gold band. She'd even referenced her husband a few times in our sessions, talking about couple dynamics and communication. I wondered if he knew. That night, I did something I'm honestly not proud of, but also totally am. I started researching Olivia Hartley's personal life. It took me about 20 minutes, maybe less, to find her husband, Ethan Hartley. He was a professor at the State University, American Literature. He had a faculty page with a photo, handsome in that intellectual, professorial way. Glasses, kind eyes, a warm smile. His social media was public. Big mistake, Olivia. Ethan. I scrolled through his photos. Olivia and Ethan at the beach, at a wedding, hiking. They looked happy. Normal. Like every other couple posting their highlight reel. His latest post was from a week ago, a photo of their golden retriever, a goofy dog named Hemingway, with the caption, "This guy doesn't judge my dad jokes. He's the real MVP." The comments were full of students and colleagues, laughing emojis, "Professor H is the best." Then I clicked on Olivia's profile. Private, of course. But I could see her profile picture. It was a photo of her and Ethan, her head resting on his shoulder, both of them laughing. My chest tightened with a cold, hard ache. This woman had helped to destroy my relationship, maybe even caused Jackson to end it in the first place, all while she had a loving husband at home. A husband who, I was almost certain, had no idea. I made a decision. A very calculated, very deliberate decision. The next morning, with a resolve I hadn't felt in months, I created a fake email account. I sent Ethan a message through the university's contact form. "Professor Hartley, I have information about your wife that I believe you should know. Can we meet in person? I promise this is important, and I have proof." I hit send before I could change my mind, before the fear could set in. He replied within 3 hours. "I'm not sure who this is, but I don't respond well to vague messages. If you have something to say, please be direct." "Fair enough, Professor." I wrote back, every word measured. "Your wife has been having a relationship with one of her clients. I'm the client whose ex-boyfriend she's involved with. I saw them together. I have photos." I didn't actually have photos, not yet, but he didn't need to know that. His response came faster this time, almost immediate. "Meet me at Sterling Coffee tomorrow at noon. I'll be wearing a blue jacket." I couldn't sleep that night. My mind raced, playing out 100 different scenarios. What would I say? What if he didn't believe me? What if he already knew and just didn't care? But I showed up. Sterling Coffee was this trendy place near campus, all exposed brick and Edison bulbs. Ethan was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth, nursing what looked like black coffee. He was taller than I expected, and he looked tired. Bone-weary tired. "Harper," he asked as I approached. I nodded, sliding into the seat across from him. "Thanks for meeting me. I know this is weird." "Weird is putting it mildly," he said, but his voice wasn't hostile, just cautious. "You said you have proof." I pulled out my phone. I showed him the texts Olivia had sent me the day I caught them. Then Jackson's apologetic, self-serving message. I'd screenshotted everything. Ethan read them in silence, his jaw tightening, clenching. But he didn't say a word. "I don't have photos of them together," I admitted, my voice a little shaky, but I saw them in her office. It was pretty clear what was happening. He gently placed my phone down on the table and looked out the window, his gaze distant. "How long have you been seeing my wife as a therapist?" 6 months. "And your ex-boyfriend, Jackson?" "We dated for 3 years. He broke up with me out of nowhere last summer. Started seeing Olivia sometime after that. Or maybe before. I don't know." Ethan rubbed his face with both hands, a weary gesture. "This isn't the first time. I blinked. What? Olivia has done this before, he said, his voice flat. Not with a client, thankfully, but she's cheated twice that I know of. Once with a colleague at the practice where she used to work. Once with a friend of ours. We went to marriage counseling. She promised it wouldn't happen again. My stomach dropped. Why would anyone put up with that? Why did you stay? I asked, completely baffled. Because I'm an idiot who loves his wife, he said, matter-of-factly, like he was commenting on the weather. Or loved. I don't know anymore. We sat in silence for a moment, the clatter of coffee cups and low chatter of other patrons filling the void. What are you going to do? I finally asked. I don't know, he admitted, looking at me directly now. What are you going to do? Report her to the licensing board. This breaks about 15 ethics codes. Will that end her career? Probably, he said, nodding slowly. At minimum, she'll lose her license. Might face other consequences depending on how deep they dig. Ethan nodded again, a slow, deliberate movement. Do it. You're okay with that? I asked, surprised. She's done this to herself, Harper. And honestly, I'm tired of protecting her from the consequences of her own actions. Something in his voice, that profound weariness, made my chest ache. He wasn't angry, not really. He was just done. I'm sorry, I said, my voice soft. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. I'm sorry you are, too, he replied, his kind eyes meeting mine. It's not fair what she did to you. The power dynamic alone. He shook his head slowly. You trusted her. You paid her to help you heal, and she exploited that. Hearing him say it out loud, articulating the depth of the betrayal, made something crack inside me. I felt tears pricking at my eyes. Hey, Ethan reached across the table, not quite touching my hand, but close enough for the gesture to be comforting. You're going to be okay. You're doing the right thing. Am I? I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. It feels petty, like I'm just getting revenge. Maybe, he conceded. But it's also justice. She hurt you. She violated her professional ethics. She's probably hurt others, too. Stopping her isn't petty. It's necessary. I wiped my eyes with the back of my hand. You're really nice. Olivia doesn't deserve you. He smiled sadly. Yeah, well, I'm starting to realize that. We talked for another hour. He told me about his life, his job, how he'd met Olivia at a literary festival 8 years ago. She'd been charming, brilliant, everything he thought he wanted. Red flags are easier to see in retrospect, he said, a wry twist to his lips. Looking back, there were signs. Times she was distant, late nights at the office, defensive when I asked questions. Jackson did the same thing before he broke up with me, I said, a bitter memory rising. Got weird when I'd ask about his day. Stopped making plans with me. Cheaters follow patterns. Yeah, we exchanged numbers before leaving. Not in a romantic way, just solidarity. Two people on the same sinking ship, finding an unlikely ally. That week, I filed a formal complaint with the state psychology board. I detailed everything. The relationship with Jackson, how Olivia had continued treating me while involved with my ex, how I'd caught them in her office. The board took it seriously. They launched an investigation immediately. Olivia called me 11 times that first day. I didn't answer. Then, she showed up at my apartment. Mason answered the door. She's not here, he said, his voice flat. Please, I need to talk to her. I need to explain. Olivia pleaded. There's nothing to explain, Mason retorted. Leave, Olivia. Harper, she shouted now, her voice tinged with desperation. Harper, please. This is a misunderstanding. I watched from my bedroom window as Mason physically blocked the doorway until Olivia finally, reluctantly left. She's unhinged, Mason said when he came back in, shaking his head. Absolute psycho. 2 weeks later, Ethan filed for divorce. He texted me, lawyer meeting today. Felt right to let you know. Thank you for giving me the push I needed. I wrote back, you're going to be okay. Better off, actually. His reply, funny. I was about to text you the same thing. Olivia tried everything to save herself. She claimed Jackson and I had broken up before they got together, so there was no ethics violation. But the timeline didn't add up. Jackson and I had broken up in July. Olivia and I started therapy in June. I had session notes proving I was still in a relationship with Jackson during our early appointments. The board suspended her license pending investigation. Her practice dropped her. Word got around in the mental health community. Her career was imploding in real time. Then Jackson called me. Crying. Actually crying. Harper, you have to stop this. Olivia's losing everything. Good, I said, the word coming out colder than I expected. She didn't do anything wrong. We're in love, he wailed. I couldn't help it. I laughed. A genuine, incredulous laugh. You're in love? You've known her for months? It's real. We connected in a way I never connected with you. That stung more than I wanted to admit, that casual dismissal of our 3 years together. Connected? I shot back. How? Over my therapy notes? Did you two bond while she told you my deepest fears? Silence. A long, telling silence. Jackson. She violated every professional ethics rule in existence. She manipulated both of us. And you're defending her. You're just bitter because we broke up, he said, a petulant edge to his voice. I'm bitter because my therapist slept with my boyfriend, you absolute walnut. I hung up. Ethan took me out for coffee a few days later, not the same place, somewhere quieter. How are you holding up? He asked, his gaze gentle. Honestly, better than expected. You? Same. Divorce is moving forward. She's fighting for the house, but my lawyer thinks I've got a strong case, given the circumstances. She's still with Jackson, apparently. He moved into an apartment. She's been staying there. We talked about other things. His classes, my design projects. Normal things. It was nice. Can I ask you something personal? He said after a while. Sure. Do you think people can change? Like, fundamentally. I thought about it. I think people can want to change, I said slowly, but actually doing it, that's harder. Olivia used to promise she'd change after every incident. And I'd believe her. I wanted to believe her. That's not your fault, I said, reaching for his hand this time, a quiet, comforting gesture. Feels like it sometimes. Like I should have seen it coming. You can't predict betrayal, I said, looking into his eyes. That's what makes it betrayal. He smiled, a genuine, if still sad, smile. You're wise for 28. I've had a weird few months. We started meeting regularly after that. Coffee turned into lunch. Lunch turned into dinner. Not dates, not really. Just two people who understood, deeply, what the other was going through. Mason noticed. You're spending a lot of time with Professor Hot Dad. His name is Ethan, I corrected, rolling my eyes. Semantics. You like him? I don't. We're just friends. Harper, Mason said, completely deadpan. Come on. I've known you for 5 years. You get this look when you talk about him. What look? The look you used to get when Jackson would text you, before everything went to hell. I didn't want to admit he was right. The investigation wrapped up in December. The board revoked Olivia's license permanently. She could apply for reinstatement after 5 years, but with a violation this serious, it was unlikely. She'd been a therapist for 12 years. Built her entire career. Gone in 4 months. Jackson left her a week after she lost her license. Mason showed me his Instagram story. Jackson at a bar with friends. No mention of Olivia. No photos of them together anymore. He's such a coward, Mason said, shaking his head. He only wanted her when she was successful. Probably. I felt bad for Olivia for about 5 seconds. Then I remembered her calling me a bitter ex when I filed the complaint. Remembered her showing up at my apartment, demanding I drop it. She'd made her choices. Ethan and I had dinner at his place in January. He'd kept the house. Olivia had moved into a small apartment across town, working as a receptionist at a yoga studio while she figured out her next move. She's not handling it well, Ethan said, pouring me wine. Mutual friends say she's struggling. Do you feel guilty sometimes? He looked at me, a question in his eyes. Then I remember why we're here. Hemingway, the golden retriever, pushed his big head into my lap, demanding scratches. I obliged. He likes you, Ethan said, a warmth in his voice. I like him too. We cooked together, pasta with homemade sauce. Ethan was surprisingly good at cooking. Better than me anyway. Olivia never cooked, he said, a wistful note in his voice. Always too busy with work. I cook sometimes, I admitted. When I remember to buy groceries. We ate on his couch, some documentary playing in the background, neither of us really watching. Can I tell you something? Ethan asked, turning to me. Of course. I'm glad you sent that email. Not just because it ended my marriage, but because it gave me an excuse to finally do what I should have done years ago. You don't need to thank me for that. I do, though. You were brave. You could have just walked away. Let it be their problem. But you stood up for yourself. I didn't feel brave, I confessed. I felt messy and complicated and still kind of broken. I'm just trying to figure things out, I said. Same. He moved a little closer on the couch. Not touching, just closer. This is probably terrible timing, he said, his voice a low rumble. And tell me if I'm reading this completely wrong, but I really want to kiss you right now. My heart did something weird in my chest, a fluttery, excited little dance. That's probably a bad idea, I said, a smile playing on my lips. Probably. We're both recovering from serious betrayals. Very true. And you're technically still married. Separated. Divorce finalizes next month. I looked at him, really looked at him. His kind eyes behind those glasses. The way he was looking at me, like I was something precious, something worth cherishing. Screw it, I whispered. And I kissed him. It was soft and tentative at first, like we were both testing the waters, unsure. Then deeper. His hand came up to cut my face, and I melted into it. When we pulled apart, we were both breathing hard, a little dazed. Okay, Ethan said, a small laugh escaping him. That was... Yeah. We sat there for a moment, just looking at each other, the unspoken questions hanging in the air. I don't want to be a rebound, he said quietly. You're not. I promise you're not. And I don't want you to be my revenge against Olivia. Am I? No, I said firmly, my eyes locked with his. You're everything she pretended to be. Kind, honest, real. I kissed him again. That's how it started. We took things slow. Didn't tell anyone at first. Just existed in our own little bubble, two people healing together, finding comfort and connection in a shared, painful past. Mason figured it out when he caught Ethan leaving my apartment at 7 in the morning. Harper Elizabeth Reynolds, he shrieked, part scandalized, part delighted. It's not what it looks like. I protested weakly. It looks like you're sleeping with your former therapist's husband. Okay, it's exactly what it looks like. He hugged me, a wide grin on his face. I'm so proud of you. This is the most chaotic good thing you've ever done. Is it good? It feels complicated. Honey, Mason said, shaking his head. Olivia slept with your boyfriend after you paid her to help you get over him. You sleeping with her husband isn't complicated. It's poetic justice. I laughed. When he put it that way. Plus, he's hot and a professor. You're living in a romance novel. Ethan and I went public in March. We posted a photo together at a bookstore, holding coffee cups, smiling, completely at ease. The caption was simple. Sometimes the best stories start with unexpected chapters. The reactions were mixed. Some of Olivia's old colleagues called me vindictive. Said I was rubbing it in her face. But more people were supportive, understanding. Some of Ethan's students commented things like, Professor Hartley deserves happiness. Jackson sent me a long, angry text about how I was cruel and manipulative. I blocked him. Olivia reached out through a mutual acquaintance. Asked to meet. I almost said no, but curiosity got the better of me. We met at a neutral location, a park. She looked different. Thinner. Her hair wasn't perfect anymore. She wore jeans and a sweatshirt, not her usual polished look. Thank you for coming, she said, her voice quiet. I sat on a bench, making sure there was a good distance between us. What do you want? To apologize. Really apologize. Not the fake ones I sent before. Okay, what I did to you is unforgivable. I violated your trust. I violated my professional ethics. I hurt you in ways I'm still understanding. Why did you do it? I asked, needing to know. She was quiet for a long time, staring at her hands. Jackson came to pick you up one day early on. We talked for a few minutes while you were getting your things. He was charming, attentive, and I was having problems with Ethan. So you decided to sleep with my boyfriend. No, not then. But the seed was planted. And Jackson started coming around more. We'd chat. He'd ask me questions about you, about therapy. It felt innocent. When did it stop being innocent? September. You were telling me about the breakup, crying about how you didn't understand why he left. And I knew. I knew why. Because I'd been texting him, meeting him for coffee. We'd kissed once, and he ended things with you because he wanted to pursue things with me. The confirmation hit harder than I expected. All those months, I'd blamed myself. Wondered what I'd done wrong. And it was her. It was always her. You're a terrible person, I said, my voice flat. I know, she replied, her gaze unwavering. And Jackson's a terrible person. He left me the second things got hard. You were right about him. I didn't feel victorious hearing that, just sad. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. Because you deserve to know the truth. And because I saw the photo. You and Ethan. There it was. Are you here to tell me to stay away from him? No, she said, a faint smile touching her lips. I'm here to tell you that he's a good man, better than I deserved. And if you hurt him the way I did, you'll have to live with that. But I don't think you will. You don't know me, I countered, surprised. I know you better than you think. 6 months of therapy, remember? You're loyal. Honest. You fight for people you love. Ethan needs that. I hope you two are happy. She stood up to leave. Olivia. She paused. Yeah, I'm not sorry about the complaint. About your license. You did that to yourself. I know, she said, nodding. I don't blame you. And then she walked away. I texted Ethan. Just had the weirdest conversation with your ex. He called immediately. Are you okay? What did she say? She apologized. Actually apologized. And told me you're a good guy. Huh. Character growth, maybe. Or she's just tired. Either way, are you okay? Yeah, I said, looking out at the park. I think I am. And I was. Ethan and I moved in together in June. We kept his house because mine was tiny and he already had Hemingway there. We fell into routines. Morning coffee together. Him. Grading papers while I worked on design projects. Evening walks with a dog. Normal, beautiful, boring life. Mason visited constantly. This is disgusting, he'd declare dramatically. You two are so happy. It makes me sick. Jealous. I'd tease. Absolutely. One night in July, exactly a year after everything had started, Ethan and I were on the back porch. The sun was setting, painting everything golden. Can I tell you something? He asked, turning to me. Always. I used to think betrayal was the worst thing that could happen in a relationship. That once trust was broken, nothing good could come after. And now I think maybe some betrayals lead us exactly where we need to be. Olivia breaking my heart led me to you. And I wouldn't change that. You're saying I should thank Olivia? I laughed. Absolutely not. But I'm saying I'm grateful for how things worked out. I leaned into him. Me too. Even though people think we're scandalous. Especially because of that, he corrected with a grin. We're the most interesting couple at every dinner party. He laughed. Fair point. My phone buzzed. Email notification. It was from an anonymous account. One line, karma is a beautiful thing. Enjoy your happiness. I showed Ethan. He read it, frowned. Olivia, maybe? Or Jackson. Or someone who followed the whole mess. Does it bother you? No, I said, deleting the email. Because they're right. Karma is beautiful, and I am enjoying my happiness. 3 months later, Mason told me he'd seen Olivia on a dating app. Her bio read, starting over, learning to be better. No therapist, please. The audacity, Mason said, making jokes about it. Good for her, honestly, I surprised myself by saying. She's trying to move on. You're too nice. I'm not nice, I corrected him. I'm just happy. And happy people don't need to hold grudges. Ethan proposed in October. Nothing fancy. We were hiking, Hemingway running ahead of us, and he just stopped on the trail. Harper Reynolds, he said, taking my hands in his. You're the plot twist I never saw coming. Marry me. I didn't even wait for him to pull out the ring. Yes. Absolutely yes. The ring was perfect. Simple, elegant, exactly what I would have chosen. We got married in January. A small ceremony, just close friends and family. Mason was my man of honor, naturally. You know what's crazy, he said while helping me get ready. A year and a half ago, you were crying in our apartment about Jackson. And now look at you. Life's weird. Life's perfect, I corrected him, feeling a lump in my throat. You took the worst thing that happened to you and turned it into this. The ceremony was beautiful. Ethan cried during his vows. I definitely cried during mine. When we kissed, everyone cheered, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Complete. That evening at the reception, someone approached me. An older woman I didn't recognize. Harper, I'm Carol. I was one of Olivia's clients, too. My stomach tightened. Oh. I just wanted to say thank you for filing that complaint. She was treating me when she started seeing your ex, my daughter, actually. Olivia told her to break up with her boyfriend. Kept pushing it. We found out later Olivia had started dating him before my daughter ended things. The blood drained from my face. She did this to other people? At least 2 others we know of. The board investigation uncovered more. You reporting her stopped her from hurting anyone else. I had no idea. I thought it was just me and Jackson. I'm sorry that happened to your daughter. She's okay now. Better, actually. But we wanted you to know you did the right thing. You saved people. She hugged me and walked away. Ethan found me a minute later. Hey, you okay? You look pale. I told him what Carol said. Jesus. Olivia was worse than we thought. Yeah, I whispered. You did save people, Harper. You know that, right? I was just mad. I wanted revenge, maybe. But revenge that stopped someone from causing more harm? That's not petty. That's heroic. I looked around the room. Our friends, our family. Mason laughing with Ethan's brother. Hemingway begging for scraps under a table. My life had imploded 18 months ago. My therapist betrayed me. My boyfriend betrayed me. Everything I thought was stable turned out to be made of paper. But somehow, through all of that mess, I'd found this. Real love, real partnership, someone who saw me on my worst day and decided to stay. And Olivia? Last I heard, she'd moved to another state, started working in retail management. Jackson was still single, posting thirsty photos on Instagram, getting zero traction. They got their karma. I got Ethan. Some people say revenge is never the answer, that it makes you as bad as the person who hurt you. Those people have never had their therapist sleep with their ex and then gaslight them about it. Sometimes revenge isn't about being petty. Sometimes it's about justice. And sometimes the universe rewards you for standing up for yourself. I'm not saying I'm a hero. I'm not saying what I did was purely noble. But I am saying I'd do it again. Every single part. Because that email I sent Ethan, the complaint I filed, those weren't just revenge. They were the first steps toward the life I actually deserved. The life I'm living now. And yeah, there's something poetic about ending up with Ethan, about building a life with the man Olivia threw away while she was chasing something that was never meant to last. But more than that, there's something powerful about taking your worst moment and refusing to let it define you. Olivia tried to make me a victim. I decided to be a survivor instead. And survivors don't just move on. Sometimes they move up. Way up. Ethan squeezed my hand, pulling me back to the present. Our first dance was starting. Ready? He asked, his eyes full of love. Always, I said. As we swayed to the music, I caught Mason's eye across the room. He raised his glass to me, grinning like the Cheshire Cat. The song played. Ethan held me close. And somewhere, in another state, in another life, Olivia was probably scrolling through social media, seeing photos of our wedding, realizing exactly what she'd lost. I hope it hurt. Not because I'm cruel, but because some people need to understand that actions have consequences. That you can't betray people and expect no fallout. That therapy ethics exist for a reason. And that sometimes the person you underestimate, they're the one who takes everything you thought you had and builds something better. Jackson sent me a message that night. I saw it pop up on my phone during the reception. Congratulations. I hope you're happy. I almost didn't respond. Then I thought, why not? I am. Thanks. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Olivia and I aren't together anymore. I heard she changed after she lost her license. Got bitter. Blamed everyone else. Sounds familiar. Harper, I know I messed up. I've had a lot of time to think about it. About us. About what I threw away. I could have been cruel. Could have torn into him. Told him exactly what I thought, but I didn't have the energy. Didn't have the interest. Jackson, I hope you figure your life out. I really do. But I've moved on completely, and I think you should too. Do you think we could ever? No, we couldn't. Take care of yourself. I blocked his number. Ethan noticed. Jackson. Yeah, trying to reconnect or whatever. And I blocked him. I'm done with that chapter. Good, he said, kissing my forehead. Because I'm really enjoying this one. Me too. The night wound down. People left with full stomachs and happy hearts. Mason was the last to go, hugging me tight. You did it, he whispered. You actually did it. Did what? Turn the worst betrayal of your life into the best thing that ever happened to you. You're my hero. Shut up. Never. I'm telling this story at every dinner party for the rest of my life. Please don't. Too late. I'm already planning the screenplay. Harper Reynolds, Revenge and Romance, coming to Netflix 2026. You're ridiculous. You love me. Annoyingly, yes. Ethan and I went home. Our home. With Hemingway trotting beside us, tail wagging like life was the best thing ever. And maybe it was. We got into bed, exhausted but happy. Mrs. Hartley, Ethan murmured, his voice husky. That sounds good. It really does. Any regrets about marrying you? None. About everything else? Olivia? Jackson? The whole mess? I thought about it. Really, truly thought. No, I said, turning to face him. Because it brought me here. To you. To this life. And I wouldn't trade this for anything. Even if you could go back and prevent it all. Even then. He kissed me, soft and sweet and full of promise. I love you, he said. I love you too. We fell asleep, tangled together, Hemingway snoring softly at the foot of the bed. And somewhere, the universe smiled at the beautiful, messy, complicated justice of it all. Because Olivia set out to have an affair and ended up losing everything that mattered. Jackson set out to trade up and ended up alone. And me? I set out for revenge and ended up with love. Turns out sometimes karma doesn't just come back around. Sometimes it brings gifts. Really, really good gifts. The kind that make you believe in fate, in second chances, in the idea that sometimes the people who hurt you end up doing you the biggest favor of your life. 6 months after the wedding, I ran into Olivia at a grocery store. It was random, completely unplanned. I was reaching for olive oil. She was in the same aisle. We made eye contact for a second. I thought about turning around, avoiding the interaction. But then I remembered I had nothing to hide, nothing to be ashamed of. "Harper," she said, her voice hesitant. "Hi, Olivia." Awkward silence. "I saw the wedding photos on mutual friends' pages. You looked beautiful." "Thanks." "Ethan looks happy." "He is." More silence. "I'm happy for you," she said, her gaze steady. "I mean that. Are you happy?" I asked, genuinely curious. She paused. "I'm getting there. Therapy helps. Real therapy, not the kind I was providing." "That's good." "I'm sorry," she said, her voice breaking slightly. "I don't know if I've said that clearly enough. What I did to you, to Ethan, to my other clients. It was unforgivable. I was in a dark place, and I hurt people. I'm trying to be better." I believed her. Something in her eyes had changed. The polished veneer was gone, replaced by something more honest. "I forgive you," I said. And I meant it. Not because she deserved it, but because holding on to anger was exhausting, and I had better things to do with my energy. "Really?" "Really. But that doesn't mean I trust you or want you in my life. It just means I'm letting it go. That's more than I deserve." "Thank you." We parted ways. I texted Ethan. "Guess who I just saw? Please say Jackson fell into a fountain." "Close. Olivia at the store." "How did that go?" "Surprisingly okay. I think she's actually trying to change." "Good for her." "You coming home soon?" "Hemingway misses you." "Hemingway or you? Can't it be both?" I smiled. "On my way." That's the thing about moving on. It's not about forgetting what happened. It's not about pretending the hurt didn't matter. It's about deciding that the future matters more than the past. And my future? It was waiting at home with a husband who loved me and a dog who thought I hung the moon. So yeah, my therapist slept with my ex. I ended her career, and I married her husband. Some people call it revenge. I call it justice. And honestly, I call it the best decision I ever made. Because in the end, Olivia and Jackson were just chapters in my story. Ethan is the whole damn book, and we're still writing it.